Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of The Complete Advisor. So glad that you are here to join us. I'm going to introduce our guest here in just one second, but I want to take you back. So everybody who watches the show, you're an insider to this industry, and you had your start at some point. Maybe you remember it, maybe you don't. Maybe now it's like when you talk high school and you're like, yeah, I was a great athlete in high school. Yeah, you probably weren't. But we're going to go all the way back because we have a rare treat. So we have somebody that is on the cusp of launching their practice, Ryan Donaldson. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It is fantastic to have you here. So now I say that, Ryan, so we're going to talk about your bona fides here because that's a little bit of a red herring, what I just said. Like, this is not pure virgin territory for you. So, but like I was saying, all of us can think back to when we started our careers, and you're starting your practice. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about your background, because it's not like you're fresh to the industry.
Absolutely. I'm glad to. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. So I worked for Wells Fargo for about 8 years. Started off as a part-time teller, worked my way up as a branch manager.
Nice.
So spent the second half of my career as a branch manager there, and that we had financial advisors and private bankers in the office. And, it dawned on me that as you're coaching those bankers what to sell, it's coach to sell, next one up. It's what makes the bank the most money, not necessarily what's best for that client, which led me into one of the smaller groups that I was the director of operations for. I handled everything from sitting into first client meetings to marketing to setting up client events. I mean, you name it. If it was done and wasn't pen to paper of the sell, I was behind the operations there. And fell in love with it, and that's really what led me into opening up my own firm and partnering with Creative One and getting my feet wet.
Nice. Okay, so for everybody on the show that's listening and watching, so you've got the background, bank, branch manager to bank, which is crazy. I was thinking about this the other day. I bank at a regional bank here in town, and I had to go in to a physical branch. I think that was the first time I went into a physical branch in like probably 10 years.
Mobile banking. You can deposit checks at the ATM now, Zelle transfers. I mean, you name it. It's a whole
it's a different world. Okay, so you've got the experience on the finance side that way. You've coached people to be successful at sales. You go into you go into an advisory practice, and you're ops manager. You're like doing everything.
A little bit of everything, yeah.
Except closing the final, putting your name on applications, closing accounts, things like that. So now where you're at, you literally, like I'm drawing a line on my desk for anybody if you're listening, but you literally are towing the line. You're ready to go. So what I would love to talk to you about is where your head's at, the parts that you're excited about, maybe the parts that you're a little bit scared about. But so do you have an office?
We do actually. Just signed a lease last Friday. So I have an office set in York County. Yep.
So how'd you find it? How did you find it? How'd you pick that one, and why?
It was a little tight in York County to find leasing space. So we took a tour. Luckily, the business partner that I'm working with owns several construction crews. So any work that we have to be done, they're going to go in and kind of revamp it a little bit for us. But there's going to be a conference room set day one, and my wife is more the creative one of the group. So I'd jug her along, make sure that she could kind of plan everything out, make it look like it's right out of Pinterest.
Nice.
And just kind of when you walked in, you just kind of felt like this was going to be home.
So did you look at a couple different locations?
Yep, we looked at two locations and a couple of virtual tours, but we looked at two, and the one that stuck out was, it just made sense. It was a 2-year lease. It was a great price.
Nice.
They're letting us get in there early January, so that way we can start, prepping, planning, and.
What's parking look like? What made you pick this one?
I'd say there is direct parking, right? I like to work with a lot of seniors, and seniors don't like to do steps, walk far in the cold. So there's parking.
I'm not a senior, and I don't like any of those.
Fair enough, me either. But the parking right up on there, it's a separated building, so you have your own entrance. It is kind of wrapped around the side of the building, but there's no other financial firms that's close to it. So it just makes sense. It's when you're thinking of York County, there's York City as well. I wanted to stay out of the city that way because parking can be tight there, long walks. Or naturally, folks just don't feel as safe walking the city as well. So it's outside of the city, but close enough that it's.
So for those that aren't listening, and also your host, so York, I know you're from PA, but when you say outside the city, York is around what big city?
There's York City itself. So that's the interesting part of southern PA is you can go 10 minutes up the road and you're in a city like Topeka, I guess like downtown Topeka or Kansas City, small version atmosphere. You can go 10 minutes west and it's all farmland. So it just depends on what part of PA you're at and where you're looking to go.
Nice.
It's
Okay, so
interesting.
you found this spot,
Mhm.
and it is interesting. So I always some of the other advisors that have been on, we've talked about why you selected the spot you selected,
Mhm.
and I always think here in town there's this one. You maybe you've seen this too, where you see a building that like the businesses just keep going in and out, in and
Mhm.
out. But they have great. It's like it has amazing visibility from the road, and either like shitty parking or you like, hey, that's great, but you're already like down and
Yep.
it's hard to get into.
There'll be a Spirit Halloween there next year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those things are cash cows.
Yeah.
Okay, so you found the spot. Got a name?
We're flirting with a couple name ideas right now. So I have a business partner. We're thinking of DMB Financial Group.
Nice.
Just kind of keep a personal touch. And
Dave
name on
Matthews
there.
Band.
That's right, big Dave Matthews fan. That's what a couple people said. But there's different ties to it. They say if you're going to put your name onto the business, then how are you selling your name, or is it something
Exactly.
that you want to sell in 10 years? Then you essentially can't really. But this is something that I don't plan on selling. Going to dive into it full force and live my life out in DMB. And if it's something that my kids can grow into, that's great. If not, we'll work it out. But
I like what other ones were you kicking around?
there was Strategic Wealth Solutions, and then I found there was just so many that tie in that ChatGPT kind of name that fills in, right?
Yeah.
Is this something that you just typed in the ChatGPT and it sounded good, or is this something that's personal to you? So there's a couple other names, and I was working with you folks here. They bounced a couple name ideas off of us yesterday, but I think we're sticking with DMB.
Think you got the one you like?
I think so.
I like it.
Yeah.
What about? Have we already talked to you about a logo? Or did you have one maybe in like something you drew on a napkin or?
A little bit. I mean, very basic. I can hardly draw stick figures, so you can draw it out. But I've many strengths. Graphic design is not one of them. So I was hoping to lean on Creative One to help me out there.
Nice. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. Company colors?
We did pick out company colors, kind of earthy tones, like a copper olive kind of colors mixed in there. We did
Copper's
send
nice,
those over. So something. Again, I let my wife help make those decisions, but she's got all the furniture picked out that match the branding images that we're going to use here. So luckily, the Amazon cart is full.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
How did she take the idea of when you floated this buyer that you're going to go like, honey, I had
to plant the seed. Probably about a year ago, 6 months ago, just planted the seed, wanted to feel her out, and it was like, now we're going to sit on this and revisit it in 2 or 3 months and check for the reaction. And as I was building up this concept and the plan and took the plan to her, that's when I knew it was the right move, because she stopped and was staring directly in my eyes and said, this is going to work. Let's do this. So I knew when I had her vote of confidence there too, because it's taking a risk on my own, but it's also for my family and for her too.
Yeah.
So she's taking the same risk that I am, because she's a stay-at-home mom. 3 kids, 4 on the way, or 4th on the way.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you very much. So perfect time to start a business, right? When you have a 4th kid coming.
That's what that motivation.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. So I knew as soon as I had her vote of confidence, it was nice having that person in your corner. So
are you going to have her part-time in the office at all?
I believe so. Yeah, I think she'll probably be the admin staff. We're gonna odd enough. My mother actually works at the old firm that I worked at before.
Get out.
So she's still there. She'll be there for a while. Yeah.
How'd the old firm take when you let them know that you're leaving?
Not too great. Not too great. Yeah.
Any non-compete or anything? And we'll strike it if you have.
So they know that I'm leaving. They just don't know where I'm going. So,
nice. We won't then for everyone with this episode will come out. We'll drop this in a month or 2 or 3.
Okay, very good.
Whenever it's good.
I
whenever
can speak freely.
you can.
Very
you can.
Good. Yeah, and there was the negotiations, right? What can I do? Let's stick out here. I was told I helped build the culture, and really was behind the scenes of the building in the past. They've doubled in business every year for the past 2 years. Which is great. I appreciated that. And there's no hard feelings, with the firm that I was at. I learned so much, and I'm appreciative of that time. It's just now doing what's best for me and my family. It's what that boils down to.
Exactly.
And then, I want to be able to create that firm that, again, if I bring someone on and they feel the same way, that's just nature of the business. But realistically, I want to create a culture that no one blinks twice at, thinking that they wouldn't want to leave. I want to make things so great that they would never think about going off to start their own. But if they do, that's okay too.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So what are you going to, when is day one?
Still working with that. I mean, day one in the building is going to be January 1. But as soon as we get the branding and everything underway, the website design done, then we'll send out the mailers for seminars. I'm a big believer in seminars. did about 4 to 6 seminars for my old firm a month.
Nice.
Mainly dinner seminars worked out really well. I mean, we had on average about an 85% show rate, and
Nice.
would book anywhere from 8 to 15 appointments per night.
So you've got your blueprint for what you're going to do.
I do. Yep.
I like it. What's going to be the, have you sat and pondered, what's the right words here? Maybe like the defining purpose of your practice, your philosophies?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it boils down to my story and why I got into the financial field in the first place is, as you know, 70% of wives outlive their husbands.
Yeah.
My family is on that statistic where my one grandfather passed away before I was even a thought in my mother's mind, and my other grandfather passed away at 3 years. I was 3. And it just left my grandmothers in an odd predicament that they worked much longer into their careers than they wanted to, planned to, should have. Not that there's anything wrong with that. They're self-made women, and that's fantastic. But, watching them, looking back, if there could have been someone there to plan for them in their younger years to map that out in case this did happen, their retirement could have looked different. And that's what really struck the chord with me. And if I could make that difference in someone else's life when they're 50, 55, 60 before their partner passes and build out that plan so that way they do have that peace of mind that, do you have that question when you lay down at night? Do you look at your partner and think about, if I pass away tomorrow, what does your future look like for you? And that's just the knowledge that I want to bring out there into the local community, and hopefully I can make a difference.
I love it. So what, are you going to focus on a specific age, or are you planning like right there at that cusp, that pre-retiree, retiree, or are you going to work younger, or what are you looking at?
In the field that I'm used to is like the 50, 55 and up, right? Because there's folks that are still working and maybe retiring, thinking about this is when it's time that you should be planning before, but not everybody does, and that's okay. So targeting the 50, 55 and up is that I'm used to.
A big advantage that you have too is a lot of advisors don't. I don't know if people think about this as much as they should, but clients do wonder when they look across the table and like, okay, my advisor is my age or older.
Mm-hmm.
So when is he or she retiring, and like how long are they going to stick around? And in this case, you are demographically younger than most financial advisors by probably 15 or so years. So you have in a way a built-in continuity plan, and it's right there.
I think younger advisors are kind of scared. They get in their own mindset of, okay, they're not going to work with someone that's younger, right? You're sitting across the table, this person looks 30, 35, 40. They haven't been in the industry long enough. They don't know.
Yeah.
But in actuality, I mean, if you're sitting down with a client, that means you're qualified. They came to talk to you for a reason. So the first thing, if you can get that appointment, then you're not too young. That's right. If you apply for a job, right, and you get the interview, that means you're qualified for the job. It's the same process. So
absolutely.
I think you hear that around with the young advisors that they think they're too young, but I think it's just a self-made up theory.
I think so. You know what? I think so too. And I've been at events. I think about this because I've been at events where somebody gets up to speak, and you look, and maybe they're like a baby face, and you're like, did he just come from junior high?
That's why I grew out the mustache.
And then as soon as they start talking, though, like if they know what they're saying, all of a sudden, like age doesn't even matter. It's like, oh, interesting. Now I've totally forgotten about age, and I believe that you're a subject matter expert. So go and do what you do, that is super cool. So you've got that. You mentioned a partner. So do you have another? Is there going to be another advisor that's going to be in there with you?
We're interviewing a few advisors right now who's going to be the best fit. When I say partner, it's really just a financial backing partner. So, kind of branching off on your own. If you want to do it the right way, you got to dip into the pocket a little bit.
Yep.
So luckily I found a great business partner that I've known for years, that he owns several businesses throughout York County. So he's kind of like a staple in the community. And he's going to provide, enough financial backing for, plan out the full year, right? This is what we need to expense the full year, not worry about profits. Yeah. And same thing as my wife, when she believed in me, he believed in me as well. So that was another great backing. And I took him the business plan. We met, and he said, Ryan, I've sat through 20 of these business meetings, and he's like, I've never been more confident in a business. As I was showing him the ROI and the marketing numbers and things that I was already doing, we just need to kind of transplant that into something new.
I love it. That's awesome. That part is awesome. So often you see people start something, and they, whatever it is financially, whether it's buying a house, whether it's starting a business, where they've gone so tight on the margins that they can't handle anything, any hardship that comes up. And then all of a sudden you have some serious problems and the business folds. So fascinating. This is just like the other day when I said, like, you're just like anyone walking in the Shark Tank, which is even cooler because I didn't know that. I didn't know that part of your story, that you laid out a business plan in front of somebody and have the backing. And that is, I mean, having the capital to be able to have your marketing in place instead of having that massive pressure like we were talking about before. Like I was telling you, my pressure, that pressure of, oh my God, and then all of a sudden you get tight. This is a concept an advisor told me on the show once. He said the last thing you want is sales breath, and where the client can tell that you're kind of desperate. Yeah, you got that stink of desperation. I don't want to give my money to some guy who looks like can he invest it, or is he going to dip into it, and embezzle or something? Well, so that's awesome. So we've got that laid out. We've got marketing plans laid out. You've done this before. What are you super excited about? What's making you look at the ceiling at night?
Great questions. I'm excited to just get my feet wet, dive in, be out there, do the seminars, being able to present. I kind of get a thrill if there's a crowd out there. I don't get too nervous, but just excited to get out there, movement, and get excited.
Yep.
Excited for that part. I think great part about partnering with you and Creative One is looking at the tools, to utilize the tools to build the plan.
Yeah.
Because your first appointment is really just sitting down, getting to know someone, right? You don't want sales breath, especially the first appointment. It's just asking questions, showing that you're a human and you care. First appointment is going to be cake for me. I can do that too. I think staring at the ceiling, it's going to be, okay, it's time to present the plan, ask for the business. I'm not nervous to ask for the business, but it's just something that's the part of the business that I haven't done yet. Yeah. I've been in direct sales before. I can do it, but it's technically unknown territory. So
a bit of the unknown.
Until I do it. The first time I do it, I'm going to say that was a breeze. Why was I worried about that?
That's
but
right.
Until I do it, that's one thing it's floating out there.
This is awesome. I can't wait. I cannot wait to have you back on the show in 6 months or a year. We've had a couple other advisors. I was telling you about Matt that was on here, a guy that actually worked on this side of the table, and then he just watched a lot like you. I see the similarities here. A lot like you, where he was in it, around it, studied it. You're more participatory, though. You were like right in there actually doing it. But Matt went out on his own, and he's just murdered it. He's doing great. You're going to do fantastic. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Love to hear that. I'm excited too. It's new playing field, but.
And I'm a big Dave Matthews fan, so we've gone everywhere to see him. So you already have me on board.
That's right. I was telling the guys, I'm like, I saw DMB radio on Sirius. I'm like, we already have our own radio station. We're ready to go.
I love it. Maybe you could get them to come out.
That's right. Client event, my very first client event. We'll get Dave Matthews Band out.
I would come out I would be out there for that.
Fair. I think we'd have a big showing.
You would. All right. So with that, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna land a plane. Excited to see where this goes. Excited to help in any way that we can, of course. I think she's going to do fantastic. So with that being said, folks, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody else, if you get a chance, go out. I'd ask you to like, subscribe, follow. I don't know if you know this, but on iTunes, I said this a million times. So I used to badger my wife, and I'd be like, honey, have you subscribed? And she's like, there's no subscribe button. I'm like, go on your phone and subscribe. And she's like, there's no subscribe button. On Apple, it's follow. I didn't realize that. It's not subscribe. So follow. Also, hit the thumbs up, thumbs down. Drop something in a message. If you have a topic that you'd like us to dive into on the show, let me know. And I love constructive or non-constructive criticism. I love it all. So thanks. We'll see you next time, and peace. Nice.
Very good.